Hey, welcome to the broadcast. My name is John Mayfield, the real estate tech guy for Global Real Estate School and live from New York City. I'm only about a block off of Times Square, and so I think Good Morning America is doing something down on the off of Times Square, and I'm hearing some noise, but hopefully you will not hear that because it's very important that we get right into another couple of questions you very well could see on the real estate examination. So I want to get right into those questions for you. And the first one is, what is a mortgage normally associated with? Is that a promissory note, a deed, a title policy, or a vendor's contract? So what is a mortgage normally associated with? Well, the correct answer is, that's right, a promissory note. Don't forget that you have two items you need to remember for the exam. We have what is called the note, the promissory note, and that shows evidence of the debt. So the note, the promissory note, shows evidence of the note. The mortgage is what is used as security for the loan. So you need both of those. And when you see the exam question that says, what is a mortgage normally associated with? Well, it's always associated with a promissory note. Again, the note shows evidence of the debt. The mortgage is used as security. Now, a couple of the quick items that'll help you for the examination. The mortgage, there are two parties, a mortgagor, the borrower, and the mortgagee, the person who's lending. We can also use a deed of trust or a trust deed. You have three parties with a trust deed. So remember, mortgage to, mortgagor, borrower, mortgagee is lending, and we have the deed of trust has three parties. We have a trustor, the borrower. We have a trustee who's a neutral third party. Two items a trustee has to do: foreclose or issue a deed of release or a deed of reconveyance when the loan is paid off, also called a satisfaction piece. That's why you need our flashcards from Global Real Estate School. So check those out because you can download those to your iPhone or your Android, study wherever you are, just like I'm in New York City for a realtors conference. So if I was taking the real estate exam, I'm going to have some downtime here at the conference. I can pull my phone out and study those flashcards. So trust deed, three parties, trustor, borrower, trustee, neutral third party has two jobs: issue a deed of release or a satisfaction piece when the note is satisfied or defeated, paid off, right? And then you have the beneficiary in a trust, in a deed of trust, who's the lender, the person who made the money. But you need those two items. You need a mortgage or a deed of trust, and you're also going to need the note. Note shows evidence of the debt. Okay, so let's go to the next question. At a recent sales meeting, one of the agents asked the broker the following question: for a real estate sales contract to be enforceable, what must be present in all cases? Well, do you need earnest money, an earnest money deposit for a real estate contract to be enforceable in all cases? Well, think about that. Remember, and we talk about this a lot at Global Real Estate School in our course, if the seller agrees to take a sales contract with no earnest money, that's fine. We had some folks back in the 1980s who came to town. They were buying investment property, rental properties. They were doing some crazy stuff. And at first, everyone thought there was some malicious, horrible things they were doing, and they really weren't. But one of the things that tipped us off was they would write sales contracts and they would put a promissory note as earnest money. And I would say, you have to put some earnest money down. And they were like, hey, you need to present the contract the way it's written. We promise to pay earnest money if for some reason the deal falls through. It's a promissory note, and you have to present all contracts. And I knew that being a real estate instructor. And so some sellers accepted those terms, which the earnest money was a promissory note. So when you read this question, an earnest money deposit, that's not true, because if a seller said, I'll accept this sales contract without any earnest money, that's perfectly fine. And by the way, on the real estate examination, you will probably see a question that says that a buyer wanted to give a diamond ring or a cow or a promissory note or no earnest money. Is that legal? Is there anything wrong with that? And the answer is, as long as the seller agrees to it, everything is fine. So we can mark A out of the way. Do you need competent parties? That's a possibility. Let's keep reading though. Do you need witnesses by a disinterested party? I don't think I teach that anywhere in the course, so I'm going to strike that one out. And D, do you need the signature of a spouse of a married seller? Typical real estate or, exam question that we talk about a lot. You're going to be able to throw two out. You're going to have to narrow it down to the other two. So when you reread this question, at a recent sales meeting, one of the agents asked the broker the following question: for a real estate sales contract to be enforceable, what must be present in all cases for it to be enforceable? Well, we ruled out earnest money, and we've ruled out D, the signature of the spouse of a married, or we ruled out C, witnesses by a disinterested party, but I'm down to competent parties, and I'm down to the signature of the spouse of the married seller. Well, I think the answer would have to be competent parties, as you've just seen, because you could buy property as a spouse and enter into a contract, and if you're married, that's not a requirement that the spouse has to sign. The spouse may not want to buy that property, but the other party wants to. But you do need competent parties. So keep that in mind and remember that if you see that on the real estate examination. Now, if one of the items were not present, which would invalidate the deed? Is it the recording of the deed? Remember, we talk about that a lot, don't we? And the thing we always remember is recording a deed is not mandatory. So it's not recording of the deed. Is it delivery of the deed? If one of the items were not present, which would invalidate the deed? Do you need the signature of the grantee? And do you need the capacity of the grantee? Well, the correct answer is the capacity of the grantee. If one of the items were not present, which would invalidate a deed? Well, you do need recording, you do need the delivery of a deed, remember, and you do need the signature of the grantee. All of those, and this question's worded weird. If one of the items were not present, which would invalidate the deed? Well, the recording's not going to invalidate the deed. The delivery of the deed's not going to invalidate the deed, because you need that. The signature of the grantee, that's not going to invalidate the deed. It's not required, but that's not going to invalidate the deed. But the capacity of the grantee would invalidate the deed. So remember, sometimes you're going to see a question, and this is a great question where you have to read it at least 3 times, 2-3 times, maybe 4, to figure out what is it they want me to answer. Now, remember this tip. If you look at that and you're like, I don't know the answer, I'm not comfortable answering, skip it and then come back to it later. Not a problem doing that, okay? You won't miss, because the computer's going to bring you back and let you look at all the questions that you're thinking about. And here's the other tip I want to give you. If you come back and you're thinking, I think it's capacity of the grantee, but I'm really not certain. If that's your overwhelming gut feeling and you've studied hard, you need to go with that choice, okay? So don't miss that. Well, I'm going to do one more question for you, and then we're going to wrap this up today. So one more question. Sarah recently listed Bob and Sue's home. Sarah's real estate brokerage firm, and her agreement with Bob and Sue is known as what form of agency? Well, that's a special agency, right? Remember that. It's a special agency. Well, live from New York and sounds from Times Square in the background. Hopefully you're not hearing that. I have got to go to my conference. This will be posted on our YouTube channel. I'll be doing more streaming from New York City and helping you learn to pass the real estate exam on the very first attempt. Hey, don't forget, be sure and subscribe to our YouTube channel. You can click on the bell. You'll be notified whenever we go live. I am going to be doing a lot of live training for real estate agents on how to grow your business right here on this channel, plus much more. We do interviews. I may even do some interviews and some footage from the conference here and put that up on the channel so you can see what it's like being a real estate professional and attending conferences like this. It's always a great time to get your real estate license, and if you're thinking about that, be sure and go to globalrealestateschool.com. We would love to have you as a student. We've got test aid prep, we've got my real estate exam coach, flashcards, and so much more. So again, thanks so much for watching. I'm John Mayfield, the Real Estate Tech Guy. Go out and make it a great day. Thank you for listening to the podcast for Global Real Estate School. I'm John Mayfield, the Real Estate Tech Guy. Go out and make it a great day.